Welcome, Bulldog fans, to the 2018 season. Steve, I'm holding a depth chart. There is a name missing. All right, technically there's 3 names missing, but there's one name missing on this opening game depth chart, which is going to jump off the page to everybody, so to speak. The suspension of Nick Fitzgerald kind of dropping a bomb on everybody, but Joe Moorhead is making it clear from day one that nobody's above the team rules on this squad.
And that's true, David, and you're right, it was a bombshell, and we have to confess we were not aware that this suspension was coming. Sometimes we do get some advance notice. We did get some news this morning that there was some bad news on the horizon that may leak out this afternoon. Never suspected this would be the news. We're kind of speaking among ourselves prior to Joe Moorhead speaking with the media today, kind of trying to surmise what could possibly be the situation here. But Nick Fitzgerald being suspended for the season opener, absolutely not on the radar.
And by pure irony, I run into Nick Fitzgerald as I'm coming to the SEAL Center today for today's press conference, and that certainly never came up, did not see him. And he was going to the coach's offices, and you could tell he's a guy that there was no downcast about him. He wasn't lively, but he wasn't like a whipped dog or anything. So he has known a long time. As Coach Moore had said, it's a violation back in March. So they've done a very good job of keeping this quiet, and then quite possibly not making it official until the last week. But he knew something was going to happen. Now, on the flip side, he had to tell Keaton Thompson on Friday that you're going to start this 2018 season, much like you ended the 2017 season. You're going to be the starting quarterback. You and I both watched the Texas Bowl. We feel both very confident how Keaton will handle this, regardless of who the opponent is.
Absolutely, and that's where State's really at a huge benefit because Keaton played so much last year. And we kind of prepared this year expecting, you know what, if Fitzgerald would have a setback with his recovery, you've got a very capable number 2 guy. So Keaton's a guy ready to go, has the full respect of his team and his coaching staff. I don't expect anything to really change. Ideally, you'd like Nick Fitzgerald to be out there. You don't want any clouds around the program. And he did, to be fair, too, we don't want to make this all about Nick Fitzgerald, even though that's the headline today. Michael Story also will be suspended for the ballgame, as will the starting defensive tackle Corey Thomas. That's probably not as big a loss just because of the fact Braxton Hoyt started so many games last year when Corey was out. But you feel so good about your depth there. But again, there are some discipline issues that are being resolved this week. We don't expect them to linger into the season, and everybody will get a full clean slate next week when we go to Kansas State.
Yes, too, as Steve said, since the suspensions of Fitzgerald and Thomas are both one game only, and he did say Nick Fitzgerald will be the starting quarterback at Kansas State, so that's clear. And, of course, Corey Thompson there. Michael Storer, his remains indefinite because it's an entirely different and late arising situation only now being taken care of. Otherwise, Moorhead said the team is healthy going into this game. He talked about all the things you say about an FCS team, but with a little different perspective because he's from an FCS program, his own background, and he says these are the games those programs live for. He thinks it's a team that shows a very similar offense to what State runs. That helps Bob Shoop in his defensive preparations for this week as well. And he knows they'll play with a chip on their shoulder, but let's be honest. The Bulldogs are just going to win this game. Here's a chance for Keaton to get his feet wet. Number 3 quarterback, and now number 2, you expect a guy like Logan Burnett, because this, Steve, could be a really interesting situation. I want your comment on this. Do you play Jalen Maiden anyway now because he'll be number 2 this week or number 3 because of the new redshirt rule?
I think I would, just because Joe Moorhead had said that you might play guys 2 of the first 4 games, 1 of the final 3, and then possibly in a postseason type game. Mm-hmm. This is a different scenario, but I think if you're going to allow Maiden to get some game reps, maybe this is the opportunity to do it early in the season because you don't expect to have to use him. But if you're going to play him anyway, this is the perfect opportunity, and hopefully Keaton Thompson's play will allow some mop-up time of sorts for Maiden to get out there and kind of get his feet wet. But the bottom line is this, is that State has depth at the position, and you're not in a situation where years ago a suspension like this could have wrecked the season. You feel pretty confident in the team. But I do think Maiden will likely see the field this Saturday, and I think it's a golden opportunity for everybody to kind of see what he can do. I don't think he'll be in obvious passing situations, but Joe Moorhead's going to run the Joe Moorhead offense, and it's their job to stop him. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him come in and whip it around just a little bit.
And as Coach Moorhead pointed out, the skill sets that Nick Fitzgerald and Keaton Thompson have are similar enough that they don't have to radically change anything for this week as well. And you really wouldn't for Stephen F. Austin Lumberjacks anyway. No disrespect meant, but that's just the facts of how things work in these openers like this. So Bulldogs still should be in good shape. A lesson learned. Nick will be back in the lineup, Corey back in the lineup for the Kansas State. Hey, and look on this side. Kansas State won't have any scouting tape for the last couple of games of Nick Fitzgerald because now the Bulldogs have played 2 complete games without him and most of the Egg Bowl as well.
That's true, David. And the downside of that is Nick won't have the benefit of having that first game to kind of clean things up and kind of get the rust out. And it's been a long time since he's played an actual football game. So there is the negative part of that. The positive side of it is you get more valuable playing time for Keaton Thompson, begin to build that depth, but also, too, you give Nick one more week to perhaps heal and be prepared for those first hits. And as you mentioned, maybe you take Kansas State, but a little bit of surprise there. But the bottom line is we believe Mississippi State is good enough to win this football game regardless of who the quarterback is.
So later in the week, Steve and I will get together and talk about the game building up to our opener here. Ticket sales still available out there for fans to get in and watch the Bulldogs kick off this year. You get to see a new quarterback playing, basically, and mostly see what Joe Moorhead likes to do with the offense because, face it, if you're going to see Keaton and other quarterbacks out there, you're really going to get a good idea of how he likes to call games regardless of who's under center. So you get a tip on that, and everyone's excited to see Bob Shoop's defense get out there and what they can do because it's just loaded up front. Watch the linebackers develop, the safeties, cornerbacks, all those things. And by the way, Tucker Day will be the punter. That was announced as well today's press conference. So starting game week with a bombshell, but hopefully things settle down, and once the dust is cleared, we get on with the business of preparing for Stephen F. Austin, and we'll be talking to you later on during the week. But for now, for our Gene's Page 24/7 crew, Steve Robertson and David Murray.